Hello, everybody. Welcome to One Pod. I'm joined today by my good friend Connor Adams, one of the OG One Piece theorists when it comes to my life. Little flashback, which I feel like anytime we talk about One Piece, I have to talk about the fact that when the pandemic started, that's when I caught up. Anyways, 2020, the pandemic starts, got nothing going on. I catch up. I fly through the first like 500 episodes, and that's when I had a phone call with your brother Connor, and you so happen to be hanging around. And oh, hey Connor, Gabe's catching up in One Piece, and you a 2 minute conversation with your brother turned into like an hour long unrecorded podcast, basically, because we went
Yep,
on and on about One Piece theories.
the
And
lost episode.
right, and today we're doing One Piece theories. We're doing One Piece mysteries. That's basically what this episode will be. It's just me today with Connor. The other guys, Yusuf, V, and Tyler. We may record tomorrow night, and I would throw that on the back half of this. On the back half of this discussion, we may talk about the latest chapter, which I know a lot of people are not caught up. So to avoid spoilers, I would put that at the end, and you would know when to leave. But anyways, Connor. By the way, I like your Jotaro hat. Connor's rocking a Jotaro hat right now. He just showed me a bunch
On the
of
anime.
JoJo art books. I'm very jealous. He's heavy duty into. Once you read JoJo, once you start taking in JoJo, you don't just watch it like a normal show or read it.
Definitely not.
You just get consumed by it. And obviously with that hat, I can tell he's been consumed by it. And we were talking about part 3. You said you weren't a fan, but the ending. And
The ending made it.
you
You know,
mentioned, and we won't spoil, but you mentioned, yeah, the ending helps, and a lot of shows don't stick the ending. A lot of mangas don't stick the
Attack on
ending.
Titan.
Right. A lot of stuff today. And I've been jumping into a little of a, and sounds silly to some, but I've been going down a little Dragon Ball Z rabbit hole, my first love.
Definitely. I
It
mean,
doesn't get enough credit. Those first, end of Namek, first of all, Namek's
hear me
fantastic. The Cell
hear
Saga
me
is
out.
fantastic. All
The
right, go on.
whole Frieza saga to say like saying to Frieza,
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Like
It's really good.
from a storytelling point, like
Structurally, for sure, perfect.
it's great because the thing, even though I aesthetically I love the Boo saga the most. I love the colors and how vibrant it looks. But storytelling wise, and like Android Cell Saga is nowhere near there. Cell legit just turns into
Ah,
another Frieza. I'm just gonna say
ah.
he turns
All
into
right.
another Frieza.
Well, let me finish my thought before you tear it down.
Okay, okay.
Before it even comes out of my mouth, I was gonna say the end of the Frieza saga, very climactic and top 5 anime moment of all time, probably to this day. I've watched a bunch of stuff better than Dragon Ball Z, but the way the Cell Saga ends is beautiful. Talk about
Well, yeah.
climactic. I
No,
mean,
I
that
would
was
say
perfect.
well
And the Android
Gohan.
Saga, and it's brutal and it's darker. I really like the Android Saga. I like season 4 to 6. I mean, like
Okay.
those 3 seasons, and then you have the 3 seasons 1 to 3. Those are perfect. And then the Boo Saga is when it gets kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? We're getting goofy. Like we got kids turning into Super Saiyans. It's just
I guess, but also there's a lot more problems in the Cell Saga than people realize. Like there's a lot of stupid mistakes that the Cell Saga could be like or like
like made
done
by the writer
or
or the characters.
by the characters.
Okay, like
Like
yeah,
17
obviously. So
not
like
running away,
yeah,
Krillin not killing 18,
mm-hmm,
like all these other
for
like
sure.
Vegeta being like everybody blames it on Vegeta for like letting
Yeah,
him
yeah.
become perfect, but I blame it on Krillin more. It's like yeah, he has a crush, but at that point they were supposed to kill them.
Hey man, that's
So
his
if we're
BM.
taking that as a
It's mother of his
character,
kids.
not at that point. You could
uh
have switched it up.
but I agree with you, and it has its flaws. That being said, they stuck the landing.
I
Uh
would say so.
with
But
the
the main
father
thing
son
is
Kamehameha at the end, that was beautiful.
I loved Cell, the first form of Cell. He was so much so dark
Yeah,
and like
menacing.
mysterious. You didn't really know how they're gonna get rid of him. And then by the time he gets into his third form, he's just a rehashed Frieza to me.
Interesting. I don't know. All right. We'll definitely save this discussion for another day because this is not the title of the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
episode. but that is something we definitely have to talk more about down the line. That's an interesting take. Uh, but yeah, I just want to throw that out there, like all the hate it gets and whatnot.
Yeah,
DBZ by like not by obviously
not super. Because
casual
super,
people.
I could be talking for 20 hours about how super is shit.
All right,
To
yeah,
be
I
honest.
pretend it doesn't exist. I
Oh,
pretend super doesn't
it's like
exist
GT,
myself,
but it's like
but it's
they're
canon,
still
kind
not
of.
making GT stuff. So that's the reason why I'm mad with Super. It's like
Yeah,
they're still going.
yeah, but yeah, that's another discussion for another day. We will
But before
definitely
that, let me
dig in.
just throw out some credentials. He said I'm the
Please do, please
OG.
do.
OG. I think I'm probably like even out of his other hosts. I think I've watched One Piece the longest since I was, this young, and I have some proof right here. So let me show you this. This right here is the Japanese box of probably from the Baratier to Arlong. This is
Mhm.
before they had it in English,
Wow,
and before they had the Funimation. And you know what they had to
that's
that we
how
had
I
to
got
watch for
into it.
English? We had to watch the Four Kids one, and this is back from 2006. And then besides that, nobody has, nobody was growing up with these, and this is just how much we love One Piece in this house. We
I
have a
oh,
rubber
oh, here we
arm
go. This dude's
Luffy
got all the
doll.
knickknacks with him.
This is from 2005 when I was 5 years old. That's how
Wow,
long we've been on
that's an OG.
One Piece. This is that Zoro in the Alabasta. Nobody got it like us. That's all I'm saying. I've been watching One Piece since I was fucking born.
Yeah,
Legitimately.
and to add to that, I got into One Piece because your brother let me borrow that season one voyage, whatever the Funimation
The
dub
voyages,
DVD
yeah.
way back when. I remember it was like Thanksgiving time. I think it was like 2011 or something. And that was my first like I watched the Four Kids dub when I was a kid, but I was like, oh, this is kind of goofy, this and that. But that Funimation dub was my first like introduction into
Well,
like
one thing I
actually
will
taking the
say,
show seriously.
One Piece in the West hasn't truly recovered from the Four Kids dub. Even no, like even now to like such a monstrous show it is, there's still people that won't give it a chance because they view it as more of a kid show and like all this because of the censorship and the whole One Piece rap. People are kind of stuck in their ways, and that was at a time where the dub that was out for other shows like Naruto and Dragon Ball weren't as done dirty. Like they
Yeah,
just really
because
ruined One
Funimation
Piece.
got on to them early.
Not really. Well, they got onto him like I think this is like 2008 or something, but like Four Kids had it up until Drum Island
Oh
because they
no, no, but
wanted.
I mean Z, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, all that stuff. Like
Oh
they were
yeah,
getting dubbed earlier by Funimation, so they didn't have to deal with that
yeah.
issue.
But I just wanted to
Yes,
flex how
yes.
long you boys been on One Piece.
I mean, the color of the Supreme King is radiating off of you.
Oh,
We can hop into we can get to the meat and potatoes of this podcast though, and we have
definitely.
a bunch of theories we'll run through. We'll spend 30 seconds on some. We'll spend maybe 15 minutes on others. Who knows? But you have a theory, and I remembered from that call I was referring to earlier, way back when, that we want to get to immediately. That does not spoil it. By the way, I will try to be sympathetic to people who are not caught up to certain things. Connor himself is not caught up all the way in the manga. We won't be
I'm not caught up
spoiling.
to the end of Onigashima.
Yeah,
I kind of, it's been so long, I kind of don't even remember where I left off.
right. So there
You
won't be a
know,
lot of Wano talk here. And
yeah.
I will point out like, hey, if you aren't at this point, maybe skip ahead or skip or listen to it later
I
or
would say
whatever.
the only
This will not be a spoiler heavy podcast though. I just want to let you guys know that.
no, I don't know. I would say you would only have to be up to Innie's lobby, maybe. Like,
Right. Yeah. So, but let's get to it. So the admirals. There's a
Yes.
character out there who we believe used to be an admiral that they have not announced this yet. But please, I'll let you take it away.
So one of the oldest theories that was like a big One Piece theory back in the day that hasn't really gone away. A lot of theories have came and went because there's been stuff through the show that showed us like, oh, there's no way that that happened. You know, there was I forget what, but there used to be this like crazy one about Roger before Marineford was a thing. Like it it was just something out of like I couldn't even remember it. But so one of the oldest ones is that Dragon, Luffy's father, is actually well used to be a Navy admiral because of the I don't want to butcher it, but I believe it has to do with like the Chinese lunar year with like
Mm-hmm.
4 quadrants. I'm not really sure about that. I'm trying to. Probably should have looked this up. But either way, they believe that like
The gist of it, like a symbolism. All the admirals have their own symbolism,
yes, exactly.
and his there's one that
Is
hasn't been mentioned, and he kind of would line up with the rest of the admirals.
exactly. Well, it goes purple. No, not purple. Blue pheasant, which is Aokiji. There's red dog, which I believe is Alkinu, and then no, it's no, it is red dog, and then it's
Yeah.
yellow. I forget what it is for Kizaru, but then the fourth one is green dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So people believe for a long time that because there was also another thing with like Chinese folklore that was like a big theory. But people have believed that he was ex admiral because of this. And I believe that it lines up because
Yellow
he
monkey,
is
by
the
the way. Yellow monkey for
yellow
Kizaru.
monkey. Okay, all right. That makes more sense for him. But yeah, so through that, I think that it's entirely possible because if there was an ex admiral like Alkiji, but Alkiji is more laid back, and I feel like he is not one to be not complacent with orders. I feel like he would follow orders and not even question, you know, unlike
Right.
other people like Dragon. I feel like Dragon, if he was an admiral, he would have more knowledge on the world government than anybody else, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why they declared him the world's most notorious criminal, and that's why he has the biggest bounty. I think
Because he was an admiral and he uncovered all of their secrets.
secret's not even about like the Void Sentry, but just on how they operate and like
Yeah.
what's going on with Imu Sama. You know,
Right. So
like
yeah, because Garp, his dad, so Dragon, we assume it made us to believe Monkey D. Dragon is the son of Monkey D. Garp, the
yes,
father of Monkey D. Luffy. Garp, Vice Admiral of the Marines, theorized to be the strongest Marine of all time, the hero of the Marines, but never assumed the title of Admiral because he does not want to serve directly under the Celestial Dragons. It would make sense to me that Dragon would sort of be at a more extreme version of that, where he did assume that he's somebody with similar morals to his father, but he did assume the position under the Celestial Dragons.
well, I
He
think that
did see stuff that Garp hasn't.
I believe that he probably didn't even have the same outlook as his father at the time if he was an admiral. I feel like if he was a Navy soldier and he was brought up like how he wanted to bring up Ace and Luffy with making them strong Marine
Mm-hmm.
like men and have that instilled in their brains, I feel like he would probably be okay with it. And then eventually he found something out that made him flip, you know?
Yeah.
Like
And do you
I
think we know what that something is yet?
not at all.
Mm,
There is some things where like, oh, Dragon was at the execution of Roger. So it's
yes.
like he could have found out something about God Valley. And then
Yes.
that's when he snapped, because there were the celestial dragons and their slaves there, you know?
Right.
So he could have found out what they were doing with their slaves over there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he could have been mad about, like, he could have been mad to his father too, because he's the hero of God Valley. You know, he's the
Right.
one that saved
The
all the
celestial
celestial dragons and
dragons.
their
Yes.
saved. So
Yes.
he could have flipped completely, and that's why he left the Marines.
And another, to add on to your theory, when Luffy shows up in Marineford, obviously, and when we're throwing out names of arcs, if you're not at Marineford, then you probably shouldn't be listening to this.
You shouldn't.
This, at least this part. Luffy shows up to Marineford, challenges the three admirals. Famous scene. They all have their certain things that they say to Luffy. What is dragon? What is Akainu refer to Luffy as? Son of
The
Dragon.
dragon's son.
Yeah, yeah. So that leads. I feel like there's something. When we did the top 10 strongest One Piece characters podcast a while back, I had Dragon and Akainu sort of right around the same area, because I feel like that fight is coming. I feel like those two have history because they were both admirals at the same time.
Yes, and also, I don't
Or
know.
have some type of connection.
I think of. I mean, obviously, it's like, if you have a position of power in One Piece, you are powerful yourself.
Mhm.
But I don't think of Dragon. I mean, he could be OP in a sense where it's like we've seen the wind and that's probably his power, but I see him more like he's more dangerous, not in
Yeah,
like
like
I feel like
Robin.
he's definitely not stronger than Roger or something, in my opinion.
I agree.
But it's more the knowledge and how he could actually, if he dropped like all this information out there, which I think he isn't doing that strategically, that's the biggest weapon he has against the world government.
Yeah, I think he's dangerous. He's the world's most wanted man because the similar reasons like Robin, where it's the knowledge, it's what he knows that is a threat to the world government.
And just like you said, that like how Robin went to Dragon, and like I feel like
Yes,
that's a correlation. Like everything
yes.
in One Piece is so thought out, and it's like there's not really any coincidence. Like
Mm-mm.
no matter how far back you look, like there's no things as coincidences. And
Right. Everything has a connection to something else.
I think that leads to like I don't think she probably figured out something over there, but like they might have gotten information from her that she didn't even like realize was big, you know?
Right. Right. But yeah, Dragon being an admiral, I think is when it is revealed, it's gonna be one of those things that's not even surprising to me, you know? Because I feel like that theory is right on the money.
Definitely. I mean, the reason why I think it's probably like I wouldn't be shocked at all too is because it's been something for so long. Like these other theories, like I'll be talking about, they just recently kind of popped up, like within probably like a 5-year time span. But like this, I've been hearing about this since like Dragon was a thing, or since I
Mhm.
can remember, like especially since Marineford or around that time of post time skip. Like I've definitely heard this for a long, long time. And this is when we didn't even know Dragon that much. And he only had like the one appearance.
Right.
So this is all back then. It was mainly speculation with the thing like I just told you, like the Chinese Lunar Year. But besides that, Ron Zoom, okay, maybe get a shirt on, huh? Yeah,
Is that Papa Christian?
yeah, he's out here
There
naked.
he is. Is that
But
the
yeah,
Emperor?
what's a theory from One Piece that you think is good?
Is he alive?
Roxas-san? Yeah, I was gonna get into that. But
What do you
yeah,
think's Blackbeard's Rock's son?
yeah,
Yeah, so I actually was just gonna bring up Blackbeard to move on to another theory. In Jaya, when they meet Blackbeard, it's a really interesting scene because he's presented as this noble figure, like this wise older guy who's like, follow your dreams and the Sky Island exists and this and that. And don't listen to those punks like Bellamy. Like, you guys won that fight without throwing a punch. Like, it's all good guy shit they saying. But it's one of the first times we see Luffy just not fuck with somebody for whatever reason. And
Well,
then
okay, go on.
go on. I was just gonna say, and then the walking around, who was that guy or who was he? Obviously, Nami says that, and they respond with, "We don't know," and it's not he, it's they.
Yeah.
So this is a man who can consume more than one devil fruit. This is a man who never sleeps. What
Mhm.
is the deal with Blackbeard? Why is that something that they refer to him as? By the way, everybody, we don't know anything even in the manga now about this
Yeah,
stuff.
no.
So I don't want, oh, you're spoiling. No, this is off the top of our domes. Like, this is from Jaya on.
Well, so before that, I would want to say is that scene to me, it symbolizes like two sides of the same coin. They're both people that would do any like people that want to follow their dreams,
Mhm.
but it's more so Blackbeard. I feel like he symbolized the person that would do anything to get his dream, like even like cut out his own people, you
Yeah.
know. And we all know like Luffy isn't that type of guy. He wants to earn it fair and square. But the whole personality things I've heard about Blackbeard, I I could see it be true, but also I don't know what that would mean for his character because we've never even had that concept in One Piece before of like multiple not personalities, but like
Souls in one person.
souls. Yeah, exactly. So, and with that, do you think Big Mom, if I mean,
Mhm.
think she could rip that soul out? Like,
No, well, when
because
we
I think it's
first
more the
see,
body.
and this is here we go, quick little, like, this is a quick little thing about Whole Cake Island. I'll be done saying this in like 15 seconds, so you can just skip ahead there. We see her soul ability, and you're like, oh shit, this is OP. She can just rip your soul out. She can just kill anybody. When we see Jinbei, like, if you're fearless, it's really not going to work.
Yeah,
Obviously, I don't think we've seen the full extent of Big Mom's abilities, but I don't think when it comes to Yoko's, which Blackbeard is, um, I don't think that would even be a possibility, regardless of how many souls or what type of soul he has.
honestly, because I think he would be scared of Big Mom
You think so?
because we saw fear in his eyes with
Oh,
Shanks.
oh, he's different. He's which is what when we did the power, when we did the top 10, I'm like, yes, Blackbeard has these devil fruit abilities, but he's not really a fighter. Yeah, he beat Ace, but they just jump people. He shows
Yeah,
up at the end of things. He's a pirate. He steals. That's how he's gotten this far. It's not the same way I don't know, probably Kaido built his way up to becoming a Yonko
yeah, definitely
or
not.
Whitebeard. Um he's definitely snuck his way into the four emperors. Uh
And he snuck his way into the warlords too.
I was just gonna say, just like everything else in his life. And he
Yep.
probably snuck his way onto Whitebeard's crew.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw that how he was begging him, you know. So I the main thing that I've heard that a lot in the whole they thing is you could also say that that could be like one of the biggest things with the whole they that disproves that is that uh the next time you directly see him he's with his crew and they gathered up and that's
That's
the
what I
first time we've
initially
seen them,
thought. That's why I
you know.
initially thought.
But then also it's the only big theory I've seen with the other soul is that it's the soul of Zebek and that like he's carrying it around. But I I don't know. It's just I don't know how that would affect him and like how it would affect his hockey because it's all about his soul. And if he's not the strongest soul in his body, since Rox is such a big character, how would that affect his hockey? You know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of open-ended things that go to that. And I would mainly like to think of like Blackbeard's problem is due to his fruit and his fruit being like one of the most like it has the weirdest properties out of all the other like it's like a logia and a paramecia at the same time. It's like what is it, you know?
Hmm.
Like he still gets affected, like his body hurts. Like since the ace fight, you know, we've
Right.
seen that. So I think there's more it's more to do with his body, I believe, than
Okay.
the soul. But I'm not cutting it out. I'm not saying like, oh,
Right.
that's not a possibility. But I there's just a lot more questions that I would ask about the whole soul thing, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
because I just don't know how that would affect his character in general.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's interesting, and we might mention him a little later. I think we'll do like 5 more minutes of stuff that you can basically anybody where regardless of where you are in One Piece can listen to, and then we'll get into like you got to be in the 900s eventually in a few minutes. But first, just real some quick ones.
Quick ones.
Um,
Uh,
where is Luffy's mom?
I mean that's a good one. Like I
What's the
don't
deal
know,
with
she's a
Luffy's mom?
deadbeat.
We'll have to hear about her at some point, right?
I would think she would have to be. Well, here's the thing about like that. It's I don't want Luffy to be as stroked with the shonen like stroke off with like all his
Ichigo,
moms actually the sick
Ichigo, he's
Yonko.
half Quincy, half Soul Reaper, half
Yeah,
Fullbringer,
I don't
half
want the Ichigo effect on my boy Luffy. You know, I would want her to
right.
be she either died during birth because at the time, like if we think about it, like at our age of piracy, like that's what would have happened, you know? Or it's like she's living her best life somewhere, you know?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't really want it to be anything too crazy.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Let me think of
Well, I've got.
Weevil. Do you believe Weevil's the son of Whitebeard? Because I think as a good
Yes,
twist, it would be yes.
I think so too, because I think he's introduced as like this ugly, like monster of a character, but we're gonna end up feeling very sympathetic for him.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more the mother pushing him,
Right.
and then
Um,
he would find his own.
right. Uh
I got a quick one. Shanks being a bad guy. I've always thought
okay,
this for a
so
long
I
time.
wanted to get into that in a few minutes, but I
Okay.
guess this doesn't
I feel
really
like the
spoil
new movie
anything.
would give more insight.
This doesn't spoil anything, but I do think there's a chance that Shanks is the final, not Blackbeard, not Emu, or potentially Emu, who knows? But Shanks is the final person in Luffy's way to getting to One
Yeah,
Piece. He is the person who's sort of like the guardian of Laughed Hill or
because
Raftel.
think about it like this: like the two big bads that we know for sure are supposed to be the end game type people are Alkinu and Blackbeard. Those are Luffy's biggest arch enemies. You know, Blackbeard is the one that put Ace into the prison to get executed. Alkinu is the one that executed him. You know,
Yes.
like
Yes.
they are the two people that are in positions of power that are directly in his way, which is the one ahead of the Navy and pretty much the only other Yonko that he doesn't perceive to not be on his side, you know?
Right.
So I feel like after those two, that's when it's going to be Shanks' time. And I
Mhm.
also believe that there's going to be a big battle with Usopp and his father.
Interesting. Yeah, it has to.
And like Usopp's gonna like
Usopp will need a
cry to
major
his father, and
buff.
his father's not gonna be like he's not gonna be phased of his mother dying because he went out to
Mm,
sea.
interesting.
Some Omni Man shit.
Chill out. Uh Hold on. I gotta get to this one. I keep losing it. Um, what's a crocodile's secret? Mentioned
Well,
in Impel
everybody's been
Down.
saying he's a femboy, you know. Everybody's been saying that since for like 10 years now, since that one little line with Ivankov in the Marineford.
Yeah.
Everybody's been saying, "Oh, he's a girl. He's the trans." You know,
Yeah.
he changed it up. But there's also other ones where they think he is Luffy's mother, which is
That's too
wild
much.
to me. And I would be like, there's no way that they would act that way after they dropped the information in Marineford that Dragon is
Right.
his father. There's no way that Crocodile wouldn't switch up how he's acting towards him, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if he
Mm-hmm.
found that information out. So I think that's out and gone. That was like an old theory from then, and that was even before like the
Someone made
reveal.
that theory while they were drunk or something.
Yeah, yeah, like definitely not. But
Oh, I got a couple. I have a couple quick ones.
let's hear him.
What in this one? I don't know if we'll ever find out. What were those things at the end of Thriller Bark? Those shadowy
The
figures.
shadow
Thriller
people.
Park, the biggest Thriller Bark, if you don't know, and you're just because I used to listen to One Piece theories before I was even like caught up. Like it's just fun, even if you don't read it or watch it.
Yeah.
Thriller
So
Bark, for
that's
those of you who
another
don't know, it's the biggest
old,
ship
old.
in the world, basically, and it's like the size of an island. And they're on the island the whole time, and the arc ends, and they leave, and they pan out, and they pan out, and there's these massive, like giant shadows with red eyes that are colossal. Like they're
And they're also
well
like in
above.
the shape of Shandorans with the wings. Did you see that?
You think they're the shape of Shandorans?
Yeah, don't you? They're kind of in the same wing space. Like they got the wings, and they had
I gotta
like
look them. I gotta
I
look
got to
them
look
up.
at the image, but they kind of look like if you were doing a silhouette. Because there's a theory about them that they're the people in the sky, and it's like casting
But
a
that's
shadow.
what happened in Jaya. You
Yeah,
see the Sky Island people.
yeah.
You think they would do that again?
I don't know, but also it's like if they're never gonna
They call them the
bring those.
Florian Triangle monsters, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
But they're terrifying looking. If you scale them, they're like well, they're definitely the biggest thing in One Piece. Like look at this picture, dude.
Yeah, definitely bigger than Zoe.
Like look at they make it look like a little birthday cake.
Yeah. That's Whole Kick Island right there.
All right, let me see here. And then Dr. Vegapunk. I think he's the last guy in One Piece basically where they've talked about him for they've mentioned him so many times, and he's like a living breathing character in the world, and we haven't even really seen a silhouette. We've seen like his jacket
You've seen his
basically.
jacket, yeah, where
Yeah,
he's
that's
like
it,
that.
and
Yeah,
he's
I know
wearing a
exactly
striped
what you're
shirt.
talking about.
We know nothing else about him really. uh
Well, he, I think, will be the connector of all these old, like the old mysteries of the Void Century to how they're implicated into the new world with his technology. Because if you think about it, all the new, like crazy technology, every single new technology, if it's not made by Frankie, is Vegapunk.
mhm.
Like you could probably even chalk up. I don't know if they said this, but you probably even chalk up transponder snails to Vegapunk.
Yeah, I
You
assume,
know,
right?
so it's like he him and Dragon are the two most mysterious people, but I would say he's probably number one
What about Emu?
because Emu, not really, because you know his position, you
Yes.
know that he's in above the Gorosei, and that he is going after Shirahoshi, and
That's something else, and we'll get into.
because
Let's
she's
let's
Poseidon.
wait. Let's wait a second because I want he and Heath after episode 900. Just give me 1 second. Um, blue. How will Luffy destroy Fishman Island? It's theorized, or it's not theorized. There's a mermaid on Fishman Island, for those of you who don't know, who can predict the future. And she's always right. She's never been wrong, right? And she predicted that Luffy's going to destroy Fishman Island.
So I could see it as going towards my theory of when they destroy the red line, all the ocean currents could destroy the Fishman Island. But with that, I think it would be not a complete destruction of the people, but like I see him more liberating them so that they could fully take control of the rest of the seas instead of just being like that's their one kingdom, you know? And I've always been fascinated if there are multiple other like strong fishman kingdoms because that's like the Ryuka or Ryuga
Yeah, Ryuga
kingdom.
Palace or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always been interested if there was more, but from what we've seen, there isn't. And they're supposed to be in all the waters, you know? So I believe it to be more of a liberation than destruction of the island, you know?
Mm. Okay. All right. Um, last one. Last one before we get into like more heavy duty stuff. What happened to Zoro's eye after the time skip?
Fucking Mihawk chopped it off,
You think
baby.
so? You think that's all it is?
um, I mean, I don't know. There's been times where it's like this is a universe where people get scars, you know, like they will have scars and that's like that stays on them. They're not just magically healed, you know, like another show like fucking Naruto, for example, like they'll get a horrific scar down the side of their body and then it's like, yeah, brand new, you know, like nothing happened to me. Like they'll get cut in their face, like bleach, they'll get slashed in their face. I got a perfectly fine baby face the next episode, you know. So it's like I do see it as uh a thing, but also there that goes to my other theory that I was just gonna get into after, like you say, your major ones, because there's a lot of things with the left eyes.
All
Like
right.
that's a major point in my other theory.
If you guys don't want, if you're like worried about spoilers or anything after like episode 900, you're free to leave. All right, Connor, you can let loose. You can take off your weighted training gear. You can you can unleash your hockey.
Okay, so there's let me get into my major theory before. So I think I might have talked about it before this a little bit. That my theory for as long as I could remember, like even like telling you when I was younger, I remember saying like I believe that the red line will be destroyed in the. I don't think. I think this is a part of the end game of One Piece. I don't think this is the One Piece, but I think this will happen. I think that the red line will be destroyed because it is the only thing that divides the entire world. It's the only thing that divides it, and that's the only place where the top of the top, the celestial dragons live. You know, that is supposed to be the cream of the crop, the echelon of the fucking richest people in the universe, you know, well, in the One Piece universe. So I believe them getting rid of the red line will liberate the people from the clutches of the celestial dragons, not more so not the world government, because I feel like there's going to be a major battle for that itself, but I feel like the red line being destroyed, that's that is like the symbol of, I don't know, the celestial dragon's dominance, because they're thousands of thousand miles higher than everybody else. That's why they believe everybody else is below them, because they live on heaven, as they say. You know, so I think with that gone and the celestial dragons, I think them getting rid of the celestial dragons, or like abolishing like that system, is definitely going to happen by the end of the series. I think that there's no way that they're going to keep the celestial dragons in place. If they did, I wouldn't know why. That it just wouldn't make sense to me.
I mean, Saint Charlo in particular. We're waiting for him to get the worst possible. Like,
Oh my god, we're waiting for him.
he needs to not run into Luffy or anybody noble. He needs to run into like a neutral character in One Piece who does not care and will ruin this guy's life.
Oh, definitely.
Who would be
We
the
need
guy to like deal with him the best? Blackbeard?
Yeah, but also I feel like he would just like one tap him and be like, "Yeah, I'm done with you." I would
Yeah.
want it more like,
Somebody more vengeful, right?
yeah, Jewelry Bonnie, because she saw her like his father on top of Kuma,
Mhm.
and she has a lot of vengeance. There's a lot of theories that she is Kuma's mother.
Yeah.
So
She's really like a really old lady.
I think that that could be a person to get rid of them. But yeah, so that's one of, before you get into one of your theories that you've like looked up, tell me one of your like theories you thought of by yourself, like not even looking into, because I thought of
Damn.
that for a while.
Man, I'm not that proactive. Let me see. What have I been like? Oh yeah. Um Give me a second. Yeah, I do think there's a chance that Usopp dies.
See, I think it's Zoro.
Do you think Zoro dies?
I
I
think
think
Zoro.
Usopp dies because he's always running, he's always scared, and at the end of the day, he's gonna be a true brave man of the sea and make the ultimate sacrifice for his crew.
Well, so here's the thing. I don't see that happening because we still never got our Zoro moment. We still never got our Zoro moment. Sanji got a moment. Usopp's moment is him meeting his father and like having that talk. That is their moment. They never had the Zoro moment in Wano. Like there is the whole big thing. People believe that like, oh, Green Bull is Zoro's father. That's another theory that's out there.
That's not happening. That's
That's
not
not
true.
happening, and I don't want it to be true because that's like bullshit. And that's another shonen wank, like, oh, everybody got to be family of like the strongest people. It's like, have people be in their own right, have their own strength. But I believe it's Zoro because of the whole Thriller Bark like sacrificing for Luffy. There's nobody else that I truly think would actually give themselves up for Luffy. Sanji had his big moment with Whole Cake Island and like him discovering himself and why he wants to be on the crew. And like all these other people, they've had their moments. Zoro's moment was the nothing happened moment. So I think that's why he's going to be the one that like he would give his life
Interesting.
for Luffy.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the only OG who really truly never left Luffy's side
Never.
out of the original like four of them or five of them.
And would give his life for Luffy in an
Yeah.
instant.
Yeah, and anytime there's like any, I don't know, insubordination, he puts people in line. He is a legitimate vice captain.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening. Um,
I there's I mean, this is another one, but it's not really a theory, but it's just like kind of sad to think about, is like how Brooke is going to be the only one to outlive the rest of them.
what's his deal? Can he truly not die?
He's been alive for like 50 something years, you know.
I know that's not like crazy. He's still like normal human age.
I mean, he's
You
he's
know, he's
older
not
than
like a
Big
thousand
Mom
years
and
old.
stuff.
Right.
He was before Roger became Pirate King.
I know. He's younger than the Giants.
Yeah.
They're all like 100 years old.
So I don't know, but from everything we've seen, I think probably with hockey you could probably kill him, and like his whole devil fruit is his soul. So I feel like if you kill like the Soul King version of him, you could probably kill him. But
Right.
like if we're talking about like waiting it out, I think he probably is immortal.
Right. Um, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting because he's got to see Laboon, but Laboon's a whale. How long do whales live? Are they going to leave it open ended? Will One Piece end with us seeing like what happens years after the series ends, or
I'm
will it
thinking if
end
they
and
did
just
that,
be
I
like
would think it
open
would
ended?
be I think it would be like Luffy's death, like how Roger died.
Do you think Luffy would be executed
I don't think executed, but I think he would die. Like, and
of
he
old
would
age
like
or what?
probably. Well, you know how like Gear Second like took off like he said like every time it takes off 10 years of like his life. I think that would catch up
He
to him.
said that
He's been doing is since Ennie's lobby. That's what
he
it's been.
he
It,
uses
it
gear
take
second all the time,
Yeah, exactly. That's why I
so
think
he
he's
should be
gonna
dead by
die.
now. If
Gonna
it's
die
ever,
younger.
he should be dead. He should be negative like 100
But
years
also
old,
humans in One Piece live for hundreds of years. Like
like Dr.
Korea,
Kureha. Yep.
and like Whitebeard too. He's supposed to be a couple hundred years.
Oh, Whitebeard was 72 at the time of his death, which
Oh,
I
for
don't
real?
like. Which is something I don't like because he's old man Whitebeard, but he's like Big Mom's age, or he's like a few years older than Big Mom. Uh,
Yeah.
and they talk about him being like out of his prime and shit, but then Big Mom is in her prime.
Well, I know
I
the
don't like that.
Gorosei, like all the Gorosei are supposed to be 100 something.
So what's their deal? Let's talk about the Gorosei real quick. One of them is holding what appears to be one of the great blades, the monk looking dude. Do you think they can go? Can they go? Can they fight?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just like how I said, like with Dragon, it's like everybody that holds a position of power in One Piece is powerful themselves. Even if they're not like god tier, like
Right.
top
Well, that's why I'm
echelon,
wondering. Like,
they're still up there. And like same with One Piece too. It's like old men are crazy strong.
mhm,
So it's nothing to like think of. And they are the people that are through what we've seen with Emu, they are the people that were supposed to execute Vivi, if
mhm.
that happened, like
So they're barking orders at Akainu, something we don't really see. And he seems a little rebellious, but he does follow their orders. Do you think they're stronger than Akainu?
combined, probably, yeah.
Really interesting.
Because
Because like
also,
Akainu could take on like 5 vice captains. So you or fight
yeah,
vice admirals. So you think they're like, do you think they're flirting with like admiral level strength?
yeah, I would think so. I would think that they themselves would either had to be former admirals or they were at another position in the Navy and they like
Well, I assume they're
read.
celestial dragons.
You see, I don't really think that because
Interesting.
they are all like their inspiration are like the guy with the patch, he's supposed to be like Gorbachev from Russia.
Yes. Hmm.
And they all have like real life counterparts
Right.
with like historical, not even leaders, because like the guy with the sword you were talking about,
Just
he's supposed to
political
be like
figures.
Gandhi. But yeah, like pretty much. So I think it's more so they they held another top position like that, and that's how they made the Gorosei. Just like how the emperors were made. After Roger. You know, like it's a position that was probably made for them. You know,
Yeah. Do you think the world government and the founders of the world government are from the planet? where One Piece takes place? And do you think Emu is a human?
Yes, because there's a lot of moon speak about One Piece, and I kind of don't really like it because if the last arc were to take place in the moon, do you know how fucking crazy that would be? Like we have been charting, legit charting, like people have made like geographical maps of their destination on this big world. If it doesn't have to do with the world, that's why a lot of people didn't really like Skypiea, because it was his own separated arc that didn't have any like output into the rest of the world, which all the other arcs had.
Mhm.
And like I think that would be the same thing if they went to the moon and they had their big thing on the moon. It's like, how would that affect the rest of the world, which is the biggest thing in One Piece? Every time after a major arc, all we want to see is how is the rest of the world affected, or how did they hear the
Yes.
news, and how is that going on? If it
Mhm.
takes place on the moon, do you know how fucking retarded that would be? Like, I don't know. It's just the whole thing is about not even so much connecting the world, but like piecing it together with all these different people that we've seen throughout our journey, and how some major news dropping affects them, you know?
Mhm. Well, we know with the Enel backs or cover stories that there are like little minions on the moon, and I don't think too much of it. I don't think they're from the moon for sure, but I'm wondering like what the deal was. The Void Century, which we have sort of glossed over throughout this whole podcast, and I don't know. Do you have a specific idea of what happened in the Void Century?
Uh no, but this goes into let me go into the done piece, all
Okay,
right?
yes, yes,
Or
please,
the
please.
denies lobby. Because this is one of the biggest thing. And yes, one of the biggest main points of this theory is putting the D in everybody's name in front of One Piece and Enies Lobby. So the most major point of this is that the One Piece is in Enies Lobby, that big hole. You know how Enies Lobby's over it, that it's in there, and it actually denies lobby, like it denies pirates to go into there, you know? And
Hmm.
the whole major thing is like this started with, I think it was like Skypiea with the whole Jaya and what's the other island called? Like the sky one. Shandora?
Skypiea? Sky Island.
Skypiea. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, Skypiea.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I keep on thinking that as just like Sky Islands.
Yeah.
But so if you put them together, that makes a skull. And the skull has one eye. No, it has one eye on the right, and then it has an open one on the left, which is a big thing with everybody having a left scar. Uh, Garp, like Luffy, Rayleigh, Zoro,
Yeah.
all of them. You could probably there's probably like 10 more I forgot that have scars on their
For sure.
Blackbeard. He has the scar right there. Um, who else? But the the points that I kind of didn't really like. Well, it had to do with what you were talking about. It wasn't that the people of the Void Century, they weren't from space, but that they were actually from the skies, like from the sky people, and that they
Because they
were the
have those
first.
astronaut helmets on too. That's another reason why.
Yeah, exactly. So I forget the major detail. Well, that was pretty much all the major details, but pretty much the point is that like we have already seen. Oh yeah, wait, no. The one thing I want to talk about this that like I saw before, like even it was like confirmed with Luffy's devil fruit. It talked a lot about the sun god Nika before that was even in play with Luffy, you know? Like, and I kind of do want to like there's this whole video from O'Hara that's like I heard about it through like the forums, but like there's this because it's a Japanese forum and it's like this Japanese guy that has a, a manifesto about this, like that's probably been like 10 years in the making. The video is probably good to go to. I'll probably, I don't know if you want to like link it. I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
what's his name,
I'll link in
Ohara.
our social medias.
Um,
So you're telling me though, so yeah, Jaya, if it fell from the sky, it would form a skull. Um, and it's
how
something
can
similar
I
with the way Ini's lobby set up.
can I show pictures? I don't really use Zoom that much.
Oh,
Can I
that's interesting. I've never tried it. All right, we're back. I pulled up this video Connor was referring to, the best One Piece theory you'll ever watch by O'Hara. So what were you getting into before we took a break to set this up?
So pretty much that this is a theory that believe I think he's still going with the new recent like discoveries in the new chapters, but he's been like making this theory for a long time, and that pretty much we've already seen like where the One Piece is and what it's all about, but we haven't really been like it's been subtly like in front of us this whole time, you know, that type of thing, which I kind of do like and I don't, because I do think that the whole experience of One Piece is the new adventure, the new like what's next. But then there are a lot of points in this that I was like very like taken by, because like it's there are some things where it's like the only way to disprove this is by One Piece ending, because there's a lot of like compelling
Right.
things to
That's a
this
lot of
theory.
thing about that's a lot of things about One Piece where it's like all these debates people have, like who's stronger, the admirals or Yonko, this and that. Uh at the end of the day, we won't know until the end, until we have hardcore concrete evidence. And maybe even then we won't know. And that just
Yeah.
goes to show how good of a writer he is, where it's like, shows like Dragon Ball Z or other things. It's like, I think this power scaling in One Piece is very good.
Yeah,
But
and but
part of it,
also it's not as hard as people
it's not.
perceive it, you
It's
know?
not because he's put together like a system,
A system, but also that
but it's also
system
not
is
obvious
not
either.
set in stone as much
Right.
as other shows where it's like I don't even know, like
I don't
I
know,
mean with
just
like
like Super
Dragon Ball,
Saiyan.
there's not really like I, I don't know how to say this, but it's like the Akatsuki in Naruto, where it's like the group itself is supposed to be like up there, but like some members just completely could take out the rest of the squad, you know? So I think of that sort of in terms of One Piece. And I think with feats alone, you could I feel like you could definitely say that a person is stronger. Like sometimes people don't like the power scale in One Piece because it's more about the tale and the journey. But honestly, the main thing that was the biggest like I think the biggest thing that like stopped or kind of ruined power scaling in One Piece, like for a while, was the addition of hockey. Because at a point it was just like, oh, the admirals are the strongest. You
Right.
know, there's no way getting around that, and that was the biggest like power scaling thing you could say. And then you would just be like, oh, like at a certain point you would think, oh, Garp is nothing compared to these admirals, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
he could do
Because he's a
nothing.
vice admiral.
But I feel like hockey gave everybody sort of a fighting chance, you know, like where you could say that matchup isn't as one to one, you know? Compared to like Dragon Ball, where it's like, oh yeah, you could say, I don't know, like Cell Jr. versus like somebody from the Ginyu squad. Cell Jr. is still gonna
Yeah,
wipe them, you know,
right. No, it's
just
more, and
because of how scaling goes.
it's similar to JoJo, where it's like it's about matchups at the end of the day for a
Exactly.
lot of
And
things. But there's still that gap.
definitely, yeah. It's I would say One Piece is way less more matchup based, like strategical fight, like because at the end of the day, like it is pretty much who's exerting more power and like more energy into their attacks. Like if we really get into it, I mean, besides I've kind of been spoiled on like the whole Gear Fifth fight, but besides that, like it's always been like uh I don't know, like a struggle of power between people. You know what I'm trying to say? Like people can push out fights. Like you could pull one, like like a Luffy and Katakuri, even though people didn't really like that, and they felt like, oh, he got the shonen stroke of the century. Yeah, I still feel like that's the whole narrative of One Piece and their fights. Like other shows like Dragon Ball and Naruto, it's the fights that are in the foreground, in the story in the background. One Piece is very much the fights are in the background and the story is so much in the foreground, you know? Like the
Hmm.
story to the fight is way more than the actual fight that we are given, you know? And
Yeah,
that's
and
just that's just
that.
the story.
Look up any One Piece fight. Most of them are under like 3 minutes. The coolest
Yeah.
stuff you see is like a minute blurb, like Big
Yeah.
Mom versus Kaido. You see that for like 10 seconds. There's probably a few panels in the manga.
Yeah.
Akainu versus Aokiji. You don't see it. It's not important to the
Definitely.
overall bulk of the story. What's important is you know what happened. You
You know
know
what
this was the
happened
victor.
and
You
what
know what this
happened
the
in that
difference in power is.
conflict. Like
Yes.
with like how we just said, Dragon Ball and Naruto, take out the fights, awful shows. Awful shows. If we go by story
Uh
alone,
awful is a stretch, I feel. Neither of them are in my top 10, but I feel
definitely.
I mean, we were just hyping up the Frieza saga at the top of this. I feel like it's a
Frieza Saga is good, but in comparison to other stories, it's very vague.
you do need the
Like
fighting. You do need the fight. I
you
mean,
do
you
need
do
the
need the
fighting, and the
action.
whole thing is scaling up. But then once they scale up, that's where the story just goes to shit because it goes like, oh, we are fighting the Galactic Emperor, which is Frieza, and he is supposed to be the strongest being. Oh, he believes he's perfection. And then where do you go from that? Uh, Engineered next perfect being. Where'd you go from that? A primordial evil creature that wipes out universes. Like it's more the scaling that I feel like is a detriment to the story, you
For
know?
sure. For sure.
But
But yeah, go
that's
on.
why with yeah, I don't know, just with One Piece it's just different in that regards where it's like yeah, Yonko, like all these titles they matter in fights, but people can squeeze them out like
Hmm.
Luffy, you know?
Right. Right. Um, and we sort of saw some stuff in the latest chapter that I won't get into that would sort of back what you just said. Um, is there anything else you'd want to any other theory or any other mystery you would like to tackle before we go? Of course, you're welcome to come back on at any time.
Yeah, we need to get this kid Angel out there because he's told me some theories that I was just like, do you even watch the show? But
Yeah,
any other
he's
theories?
the guy who made that crocodile's Luffy's mom theory.
um, if, it's not really a theory, but more so like a thing I want to put out there. Like before Wano, I never thought Luffy would be the strongest character in One Piece. But from the recent things, I think that there's no doubt in my mind that by the end of the series, he's gonna be the strongest character in One Piece.
Ever?
Due to his hockey and his spirit
Hmm.
alone, and the only thing that was holding him back in comparison to all these top tiers in the universe is his devil fruit. And now that that's taken care of, there's nothing that I feel like could hold him back from taking that one number one spot from
Hmm.
Roger, whoever.
And
Even if that theory of Roger having the same devil fruit, I believe Luffy would surpass.
I just wish the timeline of the story went a little quicker, where it's not like, oh, they were in here for one day, they were here for a week. It's like, no, I want Luffy to be like, 25 years into the story, I'd like Luffy to at least be like 5 years into the story and not, oh, we were pre-time skip was like a few months and then we came back from the time
Yeah,
skip and now we've been on the sea for another few months and now I'm about to beat a
yeah, it's
Yonko.
three
Like it just
years or
doesn't make
something.
sense. Yeah. So that's my only gripe with that. But if it was like, oh, by the time Luffy hits like the age of 45 or something, he's the strongest in the verse, that I don't mind.
I mean, I guess. I mean, this is a spoiler I got spoiled on. I haven't seen, but like you could confirm it. I've already heard this. But doesn't he kill Kaido? Like,
We're not sure yet.
okay,
We're
all right.
honest to God, we do not. We do got. It's One Piece, man.
But it's like
I didn't see no
insinuated,
body.
right? Like that's why I heard it's like they think people think he's gonna come back, but it's like kind of insinuated
He
that he
doesn't
killed.
kill anybody though. Like Luffy doesn't kill people.
Exactly,
Why
exactly.
would he
That's why
start?
that's why I was like
Why would he just
very
start with like
unsure.
Kaido? Yeah, no, no, get out of here. No, I don't think Kaido's dead. But I don't know how Kaido will serve the rest of the story. And I know Kaido was looking for a place to die. That's how he's
Exactly.
introduced. So
That was
it's
my main thing. I was thinking like, what would he do if he didn't kill him? And
here's a
I don't
theory
even
I
know
heard.
like what's happening.
Here's a theory I heard that looks like is not going to play out. The Straw Hats would get away. Another foe would show up on Wano, ready to fight the Straw Hats. And out of respect to Luffy, Kaido would take on that foe so that the Straw Hats could get away. Doesn't look like it's going that way, but that would be a
Why would
good
he
way
do
for it to
that?
go.
Because even
Just out of
even to
respect to
somebody
Luffy.
that he respected, which is Odin, he still killed him.
I know.
So
I know, but he
he's
didn't.
still a scumbag. I don't think he would do the change of heart thing.
That's
He
the
still
thing. I
he
think
still
he's a
felt
scumbag, but I
respect
don't
as
know
a
if he's a
man.
total scumbag. I don't know if he's a total scumbag. I think he's like 75% there.
I think it's more 80. I think it's like he'll give a person leeway, but he wouldn't directly help them. You know, with the
Yeah.
whole thing because I'm just basing this off of Odin. He's stated that he
That's a
did
no, that's a
respect
good counter
Odin
argument. That is a good counter argument.
because if he respected him, he still like he did the time and he still shot him in the head. So I don't think he would ever help Luffy out. You know,
You're right. You're
he
right.
doesn't really respect his own word.
You're
Like his
right.
word isn't a bond.
Yeah. Damn. Damn. Yeah, sorry, Kaido. I tried to vouch for you.
Not
Yeah,
over
yeah. Your
here.
actions speak louder than words though. Uh but yeah,
Skinny like motherfucker.
we could probably wrap this up, Connor. You're welcome to come back. We obviously left a lot of meat on the bone. Uh we'll
Definitely,
definitely
and
have to
I'll look into that other theory that I was talking about because this was like probably like a year or two removed of
might be a
me like
yeah, might be
watching that video, and there
exactly.
might be some things that like because I do remember them talking about the sun god Nika, but that part might be done for now that Luffy got the fruit. So
Right.
I gotta look into it more.
Yeah, and that might be its own whole pod by itself. And we'll definitely have on. We'll connect you with the other guys on this show too. I'm sure they have a lot to say. They'll have a lot to say when they listen to this, and we'll get them on next time, and it'll be a fatal
Definitely.
five way.
I'll make sure to, I'm finishing part 7 of JoJo right now, but
Yes,
I'll
yes. We'll
make sure to. I think I'm gonna reread all of Wano. I was thinking of just doing Onigashima, but I kind of want to see like things I've missed, you know, just from like the land of Wano itself.
yeah. All right. So did you finish part 7?
No, I just started
Oh, you just started it. What'd you think of part
because my
6? Without
brother.
spoiling, what'd you think of part
I
6?
never finished part 6. I'm waiting till the anime
Oh my gosh. I
because
guess I guess it's okay. I guess it's okay.
because hear me out. I don't want to wait 3 years for part 7 anime. You know, it's gonna take like 2 or 3.
For sure, at least.
So I'm not gonna wait that long for the manga, but I could wait a couple months for the anime to finish.
Especially part 7 in
You know,
particular. Like I recommend people read 6 too, but 7 especially, like it's just beautiful looking.
I've
Just
always
beautiful looking.
I've always said this to Christian, like with the art books that we have, like the part 7 pages always like
He peaked. He
draw
peaked
me
at
in,
part 7.
and it's always the like even part 8, like some of the art isn't even up to quality because of the
Exactly.
environment around like he puts them in part 7 like looks crazy.
It's just the most aesthetically pleasing characters. Like Johnny and Gyro are both very aesthetically pleasing. Uh, but yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing you talk about part 7. I wonder where you'll have JoJo on your all-time list after you finish part 7,
It's
and
up there. It's
it's already
definitely
up there.
it's I like it better than Nen in terms of a power system.
It's the
It's
OG.
it
It's really
it's
the
one.
OG of like when it comes to like complex legitimate systems in anime in terms of like power. Stands are right up there, man. Stands are one of the founding fathers.
Definitely.
But Connor, that'll do it for today. I thank you for joining me. And guys, please subscribe. Follow us on Richie and Mecco Connection on Instagram. Follow our TikTok. I'm not sure when we're dropping this on Connection Media Presents. We will have a bunch of Vince McMahon news broke yesterday, and we're going to cover that with the wrestling guys. Besides that, thank you for listening, and thanks again to Connor.